His body was still smoking when tiny cracks began to spread across his skin, all the while casually remarking that the guide's strikes felt more like a massage. A moment later, his body rapidly healed, but he was disappointed how weak the attack was. No sooner had those words left him than a burst of energy just as powerful as the guide's surged from his body. Without hesitation, Lu Sheng launched himself forward, declaring that he was about to show the guide what real pain felt like. The guide looked genuinely caught off guard, and the next second our boy's fist was already swinging toward him. And this time, Lu Sheng poured everything into it, every last drop of energy, every immortal cell backed by his immortal stellar body. Feeling danger close in, the guide didn't dare hold back. He quickly gathered his energy, forming a protective barrier in front of himself. But in the very next instant, that shield shattered like glass. Lu Sheng's fist connected cleanly, blasting him backwards several meters. The guide's face twisted in disbelief, and he questioned how it was even possible for someone from this primitive planet to wield such power. But he didn't have time to process it. Lu Sheng was already chasing after him again, grinning as he unleashed a storm of blows. He notes that burning through all 365 of his immortal cells felt amazing. So powerful it was almost hard to control, and adds that he had been waiting for a battle like this for far too long. To our boy, the cruelest fate wasn't defeat, but the loneliness of being unmatched. Just like that, our boy went full JoJo style. The guide struggled to block each strike, but Lu Sheng seemed to be getting more fired up by the second. He suggests that no matter how tough one gets, everyone still needs the right punching bag. And right now, the guide is filling that role perfectly. The martial saints could barely keep their eyes open through the shock waves, even from a distance. Every collision between the two forced them to retreat further. Cumberland couldn't wrap his head around it and muttered that Lu Sheng hadn't even used half his strength when dealing with them earlier. Meanwhile, Tan Zhongyu stared in awe, admitting this level of power was beyond anything they could ever survive, believing that a single hit would mean instant death. The guide, hearing himself referred to as a punching bag, finally snapped. He warned Lu Sheng not to push his luck. A massive burst of energy exploded from his body. Gasping for breath, the guide clarified that Lu Sheng wasn't 10th level, nor was he 9th level. And he revealed he was only at the peak of 8th level. Then he corrected himself and declared that Lu Sheng was actually an extraordinary life form. That claim once again shocked the martial saints, and they couldn't believe our boy was only an 8th level. As for what an extraordinary life form even meant, none of them had the faintest clue. The guide, however, grinned as if pleased by the discovery. He explained that Lu Sheng's terrifying strength could only be explained by this, and he reasoned that nothing else could account for an 8th level strike with such terrifying power. He notes how he hadn't expected to find a treasure like this on a mere level 1 resource planet. Meanwhile, our boy, not familiar with all this terminology, asked what exactly he meant. The guide patiently explained it was a leap in life's innate foundation, an evolution of the genes, a gift bestowed by the universe itself, adding that it's a rare and precious phenomenon across the stars. Our boy thought the explanation sounded like a whole lot of nothing. But even so, he could roughly guess what the guy meant. Most likely, he was referring to the immortal stellar body, which had fundamentally changed our boy from the moment he started practicing it. From that point forward, he had become something beyond human, and now with the addition of immortal cells. Needless to say, our boy is at a completely different level. The guide finally broke the silence with a smile, saying it made sense that Lu Sheng had reached such heights, and he suggested that someone like him was never meant to stay grounded on this small planet, and believed that he was born for the universe. Raising a hand, he surprises everyone by saying he no longer intends to take the energy crystals, and he wants our boy to keep them. But in return, he wanted to take him somewhere else. When asked where exactly that would be, internally what frustrated him the most was the guide clearly didn't want to fight anymore. And he remarked it felt like a bucket of cold water dumped over his fighting spirit. The guide calmly explains that he intends to bring Lu Sheng into a bigger world because he believes this planet is far too small and stifling for someone like him. But Lu Sheng just cut him off and said what he wanted now was a real fight. The guide pauses, then seems to understand. He figures Lu Sheng is craving pressure. He comments that with a foundation as deep as an extraordinary life form, Lu Sheng's growth rate far exceeded that of ordinary martial artists. But precisely because of that, breaking through to a higher level would demand unimaginable pressure, something this planet simply couldn't provide. So without another word, the guide, now officially introducing himself as Lan Chen, starts to gather his energy once more. He tells Lu Sheng that he'll give him the pressure he needs, and between that and the energy crystals, Lu Sheng now owes him 2 favors, and he needs to repay him in the near future. As the air around him crackles, Lan Chen removes his disguise, revealing his true appearance. Lu Sheng stared for a moment, frowning slightly, as he genuinely couldn't tell if this person was a man or a woman. He quietly wonders if this is what they meant by femboy. Lan Chen warns him to brace himself, saying what was coming next would be the true strength of a 10th level. Our boy's eyes lit up with excitement, and he tells him to come at him with everything he got. With that, he charged forward at the same time Lan Chen unleashed his first strike. As the energy blast hit, he blocked with both of his hands. After a blinding light, our boy lifted his head, and he found himself in a strange state. He could sense the power swirling around him, and he notes it's the connection to the world itself. He remarked it wasn't just raw power, rather it was legacy. It was the essence of what it meant to be 10th level. And in that very moment, he finally understood. With a big smile on his face, he shouted one thing to the heavens, saying this is exactly the kind of fight he lives for. With fists clenched and eyes burning with intensity, Lu Sheng surged ahead, his figure cloaked in a blazing red aura. From above, the guide swooped down, countering with a sly grin. A swirl of icy blue energy encased their form as they reached out, every movement sharp and calculated. Mid-air, the 2 forces collided, Lu Sheng's scorching strike crashing into the guide's frozen power. The impact was immediate and immense, unleashing a shockwave so fierce it split the sky into rival hues of red and blue. Explosions rippled outward, lighting up the horizon with bursts of chaos. The repeated waves of energy signaled just how colossal their clash had become. Spectators could only watch in stunned silence, forced to remain at a distance, even the strongest among them wary of getting too close. Once more, Lu Sheng and the guide lunged at each other, their bodies radiating with escalating power. The moment their energies met again, a flash of blinding brilliance erupted, consuming the battlefield in a storm of light. A colossal purple wave exploded outward, leveling the ground and swallowing everything nearby. Yet Lu Sheng didn't stop. Reinvigorated, he pushed forward with explosive speed, an eager grin spreading across his face. As he launched skyward, he crouched mid-air, his fists shining as raw energy surged from within. A dazzling martial technique burst forth, wrapped in golden light and crackling power. The resulting blast of red and yellow energy shot him even higher, the sheer force of it stunning the guide below. The guide's face twisted not in fear, but in delighted disbelief. Eyes alight with desire, he let out a laugh laced with surprise. Clearly, Lu Sheng's potential far exceeded expectations. To find such a gifted fighter was rare, and the guide couldn't hide his excitement. The ground itself responded to their clash, erupting outward in a massive shockwave. From above, Lu Sheng unleashed a searing bolt of red lightning, violently colliding once again with the guide's icy aura. Even without mastering his technique, the sheer scale of Lu Sheng's power shook both earth and sky. The sea roared in chaos, torn apart by the storm of red and blue energy. The entire landscape had transformed into a nightmarish war zone. On a distant shore, Dong Qingsu watched the destruction unfold. The brilliant explosion mirrored in her eyes as she braced against the roaring wind. A shadow of concern crossed her face as she placed a hand over her heart and whispered Lu Sheng's name. A single bead of sweat rolled down her cheek. With a determined breath, she charged forward, her eyes burning with resolve. She would reach him, no matter what stood in her way. But just as she moved, a hand grabbed her shoulder, halting her. A woman stepped into her path, her expression firm. She warned Dong Qingsu that even elite warriors would be crushed in such a battlefield. Was she truly ready to risk her life? Dong Qingsu's jaw tightened, her teary eyes full of defiance. "Let me go," she insisted. "If Lu Sheng stands there, then so will I, even if it means death." The woman responded with an unexpected smile and a gentle laugh. With a soft look in her eyes, she explained why Lu Sheng held Dong Qingsu in such high regard. She offered reassurance Lu Sheng was in no danger. The battle wasn't real, not in the traditional sense. It was a test, a collaboration between him and the guide to drive him toward a breakthrough. What Lu Sheng needed now wasn't interference but space. Staying back, the woman explained, was the greatest support Dong Qingsu could offer. She fell silent, standing beside the woman as troops equipped with blazing jet boots landed around them. The woman nodded with quiet certainty, confirming her claims. Among the soldiers, an elder stood composed, arms tucked behind him. Calmly, he said, "Lu Sheng has gained the guide's approval. Now we wait." His gaze sharpened. "But what we truly await is the emergence of Langsing Planet's king." Dong Qingsu's hand trembled against her collar as the words settled over her like a heavy truth. Meanwhile, high above, Lu Sheng rocketed forward once again, colliding head-on with the guide in a dazzling burst of energy. The red and blue forces detonated across the sky, rattling the earth below. With a fiery grin, Lu Sheng shouted for more. His golden energy surged around him like a storm. But the guide raised his hand, signaling a halt. He warned Lu Sheng their battle was disrupting the planet's delicate energy balance. Most worlds couldn't withstand power at level 10. If they continued, they might destroy everything here. "Do you really want to ruin your home planet?" he asked. Surrounded by dancing blue flames, Lu Sheng's fierce energy began to settle. "You're right," he said. "Breaking through here isn't possible." The guide offered a knowing smirk. "Your strength belongs among the stars," he said. He extended an invitation to leave this world behind and join greater, galactic battlefields. Lu Sheng turned, a subtle smile forming. "What's the hurry?" he asked. The guide explained the challenge. For someone like Lu Sheng, breaking limits was far harder than for ordinary fighters. On this planet, even reaching level 9 was nearly unthinkable. He held out a sleek, high-tech communicator, explaining it had interstellar range capable of reaching him from 200 light-years away. "When you're ready," he said, "call me. Just handle it with care. It's extremely fragile." Lu Sheng, unfazed, pulled out a futuristic item of his own, catching the guide's interest. Curious, the guide asked where he'd acquired such an advanced space storage device. Impressed, he warned Lu Sheng not to envy his own gear. These items were rare, even among top-level Earth warriors. As the guide prepared to depart aboard his ship, he turned back with a final reminder. "You owe me 3 favors. Don't forget." Lu Sheng blinked, puzzled. He glanced at the items in his possession. "Weren't there only 2?" he asked aloud. "Did the communicator count as the 3rd? Examining the device closely, he chuckled. That guide. Such a perfectionist. Suddenly, the communicator lit up and a hologram of the guide appeared, startling Lu Sheng. "I just left," the guide groaned. "Don't tell me you've changed your mind already." Lu Sheng smirked. "Just testing. wanted to make sure it works. The guide sighed. It works. But if it runs out of energy, it'll take 10 years to recharge. Use it wisely, though. Feel free to call whenever. Left alone once more, Lu Sheng surveyed the aftermath. The planet was in ruins. It might survive, yes, but the life upon it, that was another story. He wondered if the catastrophic visions he had seen were merely symbolic, or terrifyingly real. What kind of being could cause such destruction? A star-level entity? Or something far worse? Suddenly, movement caught his eye. Figures streaked through the sky. "They're here," he said calmly. In a blink, Lu Sheng caught Dong Qingsu mid-air, concern flashing in his gaze. She brushed it off with a playful comment, easing the tension. All around them, allies began regrouping, visibly relieved the chaos had ended. A ranking officer stepped forward, expressing her gratitude. Lu Sheng bowed his head slightly. "Just fulfilling my duty," he replied. He then ordered the battlefield cleaned and balance restored. One elder remained still, watching quietly. Without speaking, he marveled at the sheer weight of Lu Sheng's presence. Even at rest, his power was unmistakable, a true sign of his rising might. Dong Qingsu gently asked if he would return with her. But Lu Sheng shook his head. "This battle gave me clarity. I'm close to a breakthrough. Level 9 is within reach. I just need time." Though concerned, Dong Qingsu nodded. "Be safe," she said softly. "I will," he promised. The woman reappeared, reminding him of something. Lu Sheng turned calmly and entrusted her with a vital task, one that would carry forward in his absence. With that, he turned his attention inward, preparing for the next great step. His awakening, and the beginning of his rise as a legend.